All right. Fucking forgot the wrong scene. Hey, there we are. What's up, stream? What's going on? Hi.
I love this.
I'm going with like this intro that I wrote like really quickly. So if it's bad, send me notes. That's Drew, aka Meeps. I'm Jay, aka Jay, and this is a mutual misunderstanding. What is that?
Yes, it is.
How did we get that? We should probably tell the people how we got that name. After a long process of pitching names back and forth.
Considering, yes, we're aware. Considering I'm the one that pitched this name, I still don't know how we got it.
Well, it was always
I don't
my
know
front
how.
runner.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you'd like the "we're probably wrong" likely.
Yeah.
Or we're likely wrong probably.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I kind of like that too because it's kind of got that like, I don't know, like negativity, but like with a positive spin on it. like yeah, we're probably
with a humorous
wrong.
spin.
Probably. Yeah, exactly. And so stream, just so you know, for like the overlay, I realize that it's two disembodied heads floating in a field, with a light breeze. With some chill lo-fi music in the background. Like, that's kind of the vibe. Obviously, the overlay looks like shit, because it's not an overlay, it's literally just two cams on a GIF with a title on it. That's the kind of production quality you can expect from this stream. We'll get an overlay for next week, don't worry about it. Hey, Mads. Don't know you, but hi.
Hi, Mads.
Oh, fuck. Okay, yeah, so we had, like, a list, like, what, almost 30 names?
Yes, that sounds accurate.
And, I don't know, like, a lot of them are, like, really bad. Like, when we first started coming up with names, like, oh, what should we name it? And you'd pitch something, and I'd pitch something, and then you pitch something, and, you know, a peek behind the curtain for everybody. We just kind of, like, pinned the ones that we liked, and then, like, at the end, you know, one day we're like, oh, we're gonna put it into a, you know, Google Doc, and then we're gonna narrow it down on which ones we like. And I'm sitting at work and I'm like, that seems like a lot of work. Why don't we just unpin the ones we don't like one at a time, and whichever one is left, that's the one we go with.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
it became an eeny meeny miny mo process, and I was the last one to unpick, and I realized that as I was about to I was like, I'm picking the name, I don't want this power. Which it didn't matter anyway, because both the names we ended up with they failed the Google test.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody else had already had a podcast named that, or something extremely similar, so.
Yeah.
Mutual misunderstanding, though, like, nobody had it. Which is, I mean, kind of understandable, though. Like, because it's kind of, it's very us. Because, you know, for this stream, if you don't know us that well, text is neither of our fortes. I'm an extremely literal, read everything with absolutely, like, no emotion, just, like, purely logic robot. And so when I read something with no inflection, like, it's whatever. And when I post something, it has no inflection. So when other people read my messages sometimes, it can come across like, wow, he's being a dick. And I'm really not. I'm just posting blah. But Drew and I realized a couple of years ago that we just, if the conversation in text goes on for a while, like, we're just gonna we'll be almost there, and then nope. And it's led to arguments here or there, but then we get on a call like a couple hours later, like I get home from work and we get in a call and it's like, dude, what the fuck did you mean? Be like, oh, I just meant blah blah blah. You're like, really? I thought you were saying blah. I'm like,
okay.
Nah,
Something completely different from that.
Yep. And then it works out. So, you know, that is the mutual misunderstanding, because we both just somehow, and so
every time
it fits. Yeah. So, I had a shit day at work today. How was your day?
Really? Tell us about it, Jay.
No, you go first. Like, how was your day?
My day was awfully quick, actually. Typically, we've talked about how you walk a lot at work, and I have to actually provide myself the opportunity to walk around. So, like, I'm stuck in my trailer all day checking people in, because if I wander too far away, then someone drives up, I gotta run back over to the trailer, and that doesn't look very professional.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much stuck. There are dead times normally during the day where I'll go for a walk just because I want to get my steps in. And then you're just like, I'm nonstop, up and down, all around. Blisters abound. Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's 20,834 steps. And I've walked maybe 30 steps since I got home because my feet are killing me. My back is killing me. My shoulders are killing me. It's all bad.
Did you insert your gel inserts?
Yeah. So I've, for the stream, I've got a blister on my right heel and then on my left foot, like on the balls of my foot. Like right where the toes connect to your foot. You know what I mean. And it's been insanely difficult to like walk. After like 5 hours, it just gets painful. And my job is mostly walking and then a lot of heavy lifting because I work in a warehouse. But yeah, it's insane. I normally do between 14,000 and 18,000 steps in a day, but today I had to work like 3 hours of overtime, so yeah. It's been bad. So I went and got Dr. Scholl's to the rescue. These like gel inserts, put them in my shoes, and honestly, I didn't feel the blisters at all today. My feet started hurting about 3 o'clock because, a lot of walking and all that stuff. And then I literally like got home like 40 minutes ago or whatever, and I take my shoes off and I take a step onto the linoleum, and my feet just instantly hurt from stepping on the blister.
Do your feet smell?
Not great. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not that bad. I'm just sitting here like literally in boxers, and like I haven't even showered yet because I just got home, and then I was like, gotta get ready for the podcast. So like, I look haggard and shit, but I mean, I kind of also always look like this, but whatever.
I didn't notice any change.
Exactly. But then I, stinky on top of that because literally just got home. So yeah, that was my day. We're shipping a lot of skids out tomorrow, which is gonna be fantastic.
Another overtime day?
I fucking hope not. I hope we just get it out ASAP and yeah. And just be able to move on, back to the regular stuff. But we've got so much stuff in our warehouse that, like, literally the other day, if we were to get like 10 skids in, we would have nowhere to put them. We'd have to put them outside. Like, even as we're like building the skids and wrapping them, with like the plastic wrap and stuff, it was very, very difficult to actually pull the skid to a spot where you could walk around it completely with the plastic wrap. So yeah, we grabbed like 24 skids worth of like trailer hitches and fifth wheel pin boxes and brake kits, and just, I work in the RV business, so it's all really heavy shit and
right.
Not good.
Is this normal for this time of year?
Yeah, for the next 3 months or so, this is gonna be like me on it every day. Hopefully I don't have to work that much overtime, but whatever. Gotta get stuff done. And we're understaffed because we can't hire anybody. Like, nobody wants to work apparently. And then the one other guy that's in the warehouse that's supposed to be working with me has been off this week because he's been really, really sick. And we're 99.99 point. There's not 2 decimal points. Anyway, we're like really sure that he's got the vid. So he probably won't be back till next week. Yeah, exactly. So it's not great. It's rough. It's days like today that I'm like, fuck, I wish I was a security guard. Like, even if you gotta like walk a lot all day long, but it's like, you know, fuck, give me something other than that. But
and I do miss I miss the patrol itself. I don't miss that old security guard job, but I wouldn't mind having a patrol over just sitting in a box all day.
So do you like, you got like that little like lever thing that comes down to block cars and stuff, and you're sitting in the cubicle like checking ID and shit, or what do you have to do?
So so the way they set up this trailer, it's sitting up high, too high for me to scan people in. So, and then the door is on the back side. So as someone's pulling up, I have to go out the back around the trailer and then scan someone in. And I've got a garage door remote that opens a big double iron gate.
Oh, okay.
That's every now and then I'll get looky-loos or a couple crazies that I deny entry, or people that are allowed to visit or like have a purpose to come up, but for some reason it's not a good time. So no, it's more of a customer service job than actual what you would think of as security.
Right. Is this at like a residence or
construction
like
site?
Oh shit. Okay.
New construction.
That's fun.
For a resort going in a wealthy area of California.
Oh, so I'm sure you get a lot of entitled people.
1 or 2 a day, an hour,
man.
Or
that's rough.
Like, so yes, there are wealthy people in the area, and some of them don't like the idea of a new construction project in their neighborhood because they're landowners.
Okay.
And so they'll come up and ask about it and demand to talk to someone in charge, and bye. I mean, you can stand here till you're blue and then yell till you're blue in the face, but
right.
I'm not your guy.
That's funny.
But I mean, as polite as possible, because
right.
I mean, they can still raise a stink.
No kidding. Wow. All right. Well, generally, how do you deal with those people then? Do you just tell them to piss off really nicely, or like?
Essentially, well, I'll be like, none of the owners are here. There's no way to contact them. You can't contact them through me. However, I can contact the site supervisor, and you can talk to them, and they're like, no, it's not worth my time, usually, and they'll just go on their way.
Right.
Yeah. All right, fine. I want to talk to them. So then I'll radio the site supervisor and be like, we got a code Karen here. And he'll usually come down, talk to them, and they'll either be pacified or angrier and then leave. Either way, has been my experience with it.
And either result, you're just like, cool, job done.
Yeah.
Job's done.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
We have
go ahead.
had recently they've been burning off brush piles because there were so many trees that they cleared out and just left piles. And the other morning I got to work and there's no one there. I'm generally the first one in, and I see there's a fire. Small fire, nothing serious. And but right after I got there, the site supervisor got there, was like, still burning over there. The guys that are doing the burning aren't here. Doesn't look dangerous, and I knew you were going to be here. What do you want? Anything you want me to do, I can call the firefighters. If it looked like it was going to get out of control, I was definitely going to call the firefighters. But
right.
That's the most exciting thing, I guess, to happen lately. Which they ended up just They have water trucks at the site, so they brought a water truck down and put out the fire.
Well, that's, I mean, I guess it's good that it didn't turn into a, how to put this delicately? Well, fuck delicacy. You know how California is with fires.
That's what the name. This should have been fuck delicacy. F delicacy.
Right?
Damn it.
That could have worked.
Anyway, yes,
Where was that
I'm well
idea
aware.
when we were thinking about it? So was somebody just celebrating like a gender reveal or something, or what was the deal with that?
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
I wasn't in California at the time.
If the state burns down, it's a boy.
Right. And if only the county burns down, it's a girl.
Yeah. Somewhere in the middle? Well, we don't know. Oh man, that just seems ridiculous. Switching gears real quick. I have noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this too, but I've noticed like ever since graduating years and years and years, long fucking time ago, in a town called Kickapoo.
Thank you.
When I graduated, I was like a shit student, right? So I
High
would
school?
skip class a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So I was a terrible student. Like I must have skipped like 2 full years where I went to the actual building, the school, maybe a total of 10 times in 2 years.
How did you graduate?
Well, okay, there's more to it, but we'll get to that. But basically, in those 2 years, I would just like the bus would drop me off, and I'd meet one of my friends there, and then we'd just go to a park, smoke weed, you know, get drunk, whatever, and then like go back to school for like 2:30 when the buses would show up shortly later, and then go home. And that was literally almost every single day for like 2 full years. So I completely failed grade 10 and then 10 again. But yeah, I never did summer school or anything like that. But how I graduated though was I just eventually after the second year at that high school, the principal was like, yeah, so you're not showing up to class or even the school, so we're gonna disenroll you. And I'm like, okay.
What does that mean?
I was kicked out.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, you can't come to this school anymore because you don't even show up, so whatever. And that kind of like, I guess, gave me like a reality that like I kind of should want to graduate. So, you know, fuck it. So I started going to class, but I had to go to a new high school, which is fine because I had to move around that time anyways. But oh, that's easy. It's the Hulk. You can't kill the Hulk. The Hulk wins.
Depends on the dragon.
Nah.
Tiamat?
Psh, it's the Hulk. You can't kill him. Sorry, that was a question in stream, you know, in the stream chat. I mean, you got to make them harder if you want to derail. Anyway, eventually I ended up like just going to class and actually graduating, but I had enough like extracurriculars and stuff from a couple years before that I was able to like just do like the basic classes that I needed to get, and I didn't need to like do other classes for like credits or whatever to actually graduate. So I actually graduated basically like 1 semester later than when I normally would have, even though I failed 2 full years. Because the first semester, for example, like when I was in like grade 10 for like the 3rd time or whatever, I would take English, science, math, all of that stuff the first semester, and then the second semester would just be grade 11, and then the next year was grade 12 in the first semester, and then I just was done. So I literally 3 semesters and I was finished high school, and I was like,
They definitely do things differently in Canada.
I think it was a very, very unique kind of case, and I was just like, get me the fuck out of here. Yeah. Like, I was going to see the counselor, and like, oh yeah, well, you know, there's only 1 class or whatever for this one. It's in the first block, and that shares the block with blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, fucking make it work, because I don't want to be here. And somehow it ended up working, so, yeah.
I thought I was bad. I my senior year, I only went to school for the entire week twice, and people noticed.
Huh.
Those 2 weeks, I showed up on Friday, and both times people were like, "What are you doing here? It's a whole week you're here. Yeah, where's your skip day?"
Huh.
I figured I'd come in this week. Still graduated. It was senior year was really easy. High school was really easy.
Yeah. I mean, you have to deal with the regular shit that you got to deal with, like other kids and shit, and just a pain in the ass. But the reason I brought that up, so in high school, when I was actually, right, when I was actually in class, I like hated learning when like I was forced to. For example, there were certain topics that were cool and like learning, like English class, for example, like learning, how to write and all that stuff, and reading Shakespeare and like all the Gone with the Wind, The Outsiders, all that stuff, and actually reading all those classic books and stuff, Catcher in the Rye, whatever. That was fine because like I actually Sawyer. Yeah, right. and I love reading. Oh, To Kill a Mockingbird is fantastic as well. But yeah, I love reading, and it's like whatever. So I just do that, whatever. But the part that I fucking hated was like, for example, like history class or whatever. Like they'd be teaching you about, whatever shit that happened however long ago, whatever. Pick an event, doesn't really matter. And
battles fought and won, numbers.
Sure, yeah, exactly. And the years and who was involved in the French Revolution of whatever fucking year, and it's like, I don't know, and I really don't care, like whatever. But the part that was annoying was like they would teach you a ton of shit and then they'd give you homework on it, and I fucking hate homework. Like, I'm at school already for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, however long actually is. I haven't done the math. Like, why the fuck am I gonna have to go home and do an hour's worth of homework for every class I was at today, which is like, what, 8 or whatever? It's like, fuck you, that's my time. So I literally never did well, that's almost lied. I only ever did one assignment for homework ever in all of high school, and it led to a fight, which is a kind of funny story. I'll tell you in a sec. But the reason I brought that up is because I realized like I was really shit at learning unless I wanted to learn something. And as I get older, there's just certain
nothing's changed.
No, it's completely different. And I was wondering if you're kind of the same. So, for example, I'll find myself like, I'll watch a movie like, I don't know, like Fury or something. The movie with the tank.
Brad Pitt, tanks.
Yeah, exactly. And Shia LaBeouf and all them. And it's like, all right, cool, entertaining movie. And I'll be like, yeah, cool, that was a good movie or whatever. Then I'll go over to like Wikipedia and just start looking up like the battles that they mentioned and all that stuff, and literally just learning about all this shit that I should have learned, 15, 20 years ago in high school, and I'm actually enjoying learning about it. But one of the things that I actually found the other day that was kind of funny, not funny, one of the things I learned the other day is there was a dude, I can't remember how I got there, but there was a Russian
scientist
named Anatoly Bugorsky, who's a Russian scientist, currently still alive, he's 79 years old or something like that, who survived an accident when he was hit by a high-energy proton beam from a particle accelerator. Like, why don't you teach that in school? Like, that's fucking cool.
It disfigured him, too.
Oh, like, it did. Yeah, I saw the pictures. It's like...
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, but he lived. And, no real diminished mental capacity. And then, like, just reading that is like, holy shit, that's insane. And then you actually read, like, his report of what happened or whatever. Like, there's like all these fail safes and stuff that we're supposed to let him know, like, hey, the thing is still on, but like the light bulb was burnt out. So like it was like the light bulb was supposed to be on, and it would have been on except for the light bulb was burnt out, so it just wasn't changing. He's like, oh, okay, it's off, which means I can do my job. And he like sticks his head in there and he's like, maintaining it or whatever, and gets hit, and he's just like, oh, and he realizes immediately, like, okay, I fucked up, and like finishes his job, signs out, goes home, wakes up the next day, and then finally reports it. And it's like, all right, A, balls, B, what the fuck? But anyway, I brought that all up to, do you find yourself like learning stuff now, or like seeking out knowledge now that you're no longer in high school, or did you do all your learning and you're like, fuck it, I'm good?
Yeah, it's more of that, but then, you know, college really taught me how to think. Like, I learned a bunch of facts in high school, and it was so boring. I can memorize really well. High school was easy. Just, you know, memorize the facts. I would do my homework. Like, the teacher would be going over today's lesson, and I would be doing what he was going to assign as homework as he's going over the lesson, or he or she or whatever.
I did that
So
for math,
I didn't.
because math for me, just I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then college came around and kicked my ass at first, until I realized it's less about trying to force you to learn facts and memorization and just teach you a new way of thinking, critical thinking. It's all I learned from college. There's some facts that like float around in my mind, but since then, it also taught me that you have to choose what you learn and what you believe you learn. Like, Wikipedia is a good example of not always what you read is the truth. So I've lost my desire to learn anything because I don't know if I can believe it. So it's just what I choose to believe is true. And this is, you've just touched on a like real deep philosophy for me of our perception of reality
Sure.
that I don't know if you want to get into.
Fuck yeah, let's dive down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go.
So, I have a friend who we've gone back and forth on this of what I believe and what he believes. It's the opposite. So he believes that all reality is our perception, and I believe that there is a reality, a truth, a certainty, and everyone sees it differently. And so that's our own personal reality, but there is a reality that we don't have ownership of.
Okay, so I mean, I kind of get that. That's kind of like, you know, when people talk about like my truth and stuff like that, which I fucking hate that sentiment, because I mean, like, the way that I view it is like there is the truth and that's it.
Right.
So I guess I'm closer to you than him in that sense, where like I agree that there is one reality and we all perceive it differently. Right? Yeah.
I believe there's both, though, because there is the truth and there's my truth.
Well,
and sometimes
there's not. There's just the truth. 1 + 1 is always going to be 2. It doesn't matter.
You can't convince someone that the truth is the truth and it's different from their truth.
Yeah, but their truth doesn't exist. Their truth is just an opinion. It's their opinion.
Them,
well, that's not a truth then. The word of truth implies like solidity, and like you can take that shit to the bank. Like,
take meditation, for example. If
Sure.
you believe in meditation, it's been like they've done research time and time again. It's always come back. If you believe in it, it will actually have an effect on you. If you don't believe in it, it won't affect you.
Interesting.
So, and then of course the whole placebo effect of any placebo.
Yeah.
How
I mean,
you make it real.
Yeah. I mean, that's very well documented. Like, everybody knows about the placebo effect. But I'm more interested in the other aspect that you mentioned, though. Like, my brain stopped working.
Well, this is all like how
You watched it in real time. It's fine.
This is all like how we just got to this to what we're talking about now, just because this is my philosophy on learning things. There's some things that now I only have so much capacity to learn, to know, to memorize, that I choose not to believe some things or not to look into some things, not to research some things, because it takes up capacity that I don't want to waste.
So would you say that there is a finite amount of, let's say, hard drive space in the hard drives that are our brains, and you can fill it?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. See, I think on that topic, I think a little bit differently. I think that we can always learn more. There's going to be stuff that we forget, obviously, and it gets deleted from the brain, per se, but then you can be like reminded of it by like the smallest thing, and it just all comes flooding back. So like temporarily deleted, I don't know. So I kind of feel
cached.
Like,
it's a cached
yeah,
folder.
It's a cached folder, exactly. It's got like it's a hidden folder. It's read only. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. Like I feel like there's like no limit to what we can store in our brains, like, and I've noticed that with just learning about random shit, like Anatoly, for example. I don't remember how I got on him. I think I was reading about Chernobyl, and then eventually down the rabbit hole somehow got to him. I mean, that happened in Russia. He's Russian. Like maybe that's the link.
Right.
I can't remember
the connection.
Yeah, of course. But I think like there's definitely stuff obviously that I'm gonna forget in time, but then I'm gonna remember it. Like if you were just, I don't know, like if I was like, hey, remember blah blah blah, and you're like, oh, I do remember that, but without me prompting it, you never would have remembered.
See, but then here's two pieces of anecdotal evidence from my own experience. I used to know the first 151 Pokemon in order.
Okay.
Like in their numerical order.
Yeah.
I don't even know all their names now. I could not. I've tried. I cannot recall all their names of the first 151. I played a lot of Pokemon.
So did I. Yeah, I owned red, blue, and yellow, and then I was like,
oh yeah.
I had like the Prima strategy guide, because back in the day, that's how you had to learn shit. Internet didn't exist. Man.
And the other example is formulas. Like you said, math. I did a bunch of math courses. I also did electronics for 4 years, and that had a lot of formulas. Right. That had more formulas than any of my math classes, actually. And I used to know the formulas. Like, at first, I had a notebook where I just wrote down all the formulas, and then whatever I needed to find, I could just plug the numbers into the formula. And eventually, I didn't need that anymore. I just knew the formula. I need to find this. Well, this is the formula to do that. I don't know any of those formulas anymore. Not a one of them.
Well, if you haven't used in a long time, I'm sure it would disappear slowly.
So,
but if you got a job or whatever where you had to start doing it, like you could probably open up the notepad and look at it and just be like, oh right, that is it. Like, maybe it wouldn't all come flooding back, but you might, instead of having to like reteach yourself over the case of like opening that notebook like 6 or 7 times to just get it again, it might take you like twice, where it just comes back faster because part of that's just cached in your brain. I don't know.
Maybe. I know I've tried to recall the Pokemon and I can't.
I wonder how many I could get of 150. I think I could surprise you. I think I could get at least 30.
Oh, well, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. No,
30 is.
Oh man, I can get the weird ones, like the ones that
like Buzz, Execute.
Yeah, like Scyther.
Lapras.
Yeah.
But like then you got 9 right off the bat. Squirtle, Wartortle.
Yeah. Oh, of course, and then Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, Pikachu, Raichu. I mean, those. Yeah, sure, those are easy. They're whatever.
Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree, Kakuna, Beedrill.
I forgot about those. I remember Butterfree, but I always like mix up like which one, like Kakuna or Metapod evolves into Butterfree, and I'm like, it's Metapod, right? No, it's Kakuna. It's I can't remember. But as a kid, the ones that always confused me were Nidoran male, Nidoran female. Because
Yeah.
as a kid, I was just like, is female the one that looks like a person with no arms, or is female the one that points to the sky? I don't
know. I don't know why male. I got it because the male was an arrow. Like that's just how I remembered it.
Right. I
don't
always
know
just
why I
had to
made
wait
that
until
connection.
they evolved and figured out like, oh, okay, this one's a
that's
Nidorina.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we're good. Yeah. Oh, it's a Nido Queen now. Excellent. Yep. Awesome. Cool. Things are good now. Like, but this is kind of funny that you brought up Pokemon because we were talking about Pokemon in one of the D&D games like a month ago. We were talking about Eevee and the evolutions based on whatever stones. I could remember Flareon. That's it.
Vaporeon, Electreon? Jolteon.
At the time, though, I could only remember Flareon.
Umbreon, Espeon.
Yeah, but come on, original 150. Come on, or 151.
Okay, all right.
So I mean, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because that's one of the ones that just fucking forgot. It just left my brain. My brain was like, nope, not happening. So that is kind of interesting.
So perhaps we need more science. Oh, but to go back, you were talking about school and how you didn't like directed learn, like you didn't like to be directed to learn. You weren't interested in that.
I would have been okay if it was like, here's a topic, here's a couple bullet points. There's gonna be a test, so do your own learning or whatever. You could learn at your own pace or whatever. The thing I hated is like half the shit that they taught you, half of it was just boring, and like they teach you what you need to know to answer the test. They don't teach you the cool shit or the interesting stuff.
So,
but go on.
There was a thing they started, I think they started in my 5th grade year, called Accelerated Reading, AR. Nothing has turned me off of books more than AR did. And it was, and they implemented it to get kids to read more. Unfortunately, when it began, of course, there were only certain books on the curriculum that you could you could only read these books to apply, and you had to have so many points, so you had to read so many books. So I don't know, I can't remember exactly if I was just being a rebellious prick or if I just could not find anything I was interested in. There were these really thin, almost like a National Geographic, I think it's called Nature's Children. But they're just itty bitty thin books about like animal facts, and they were on the AR list, and I just zoomed through them and just zipped out to get in my reading for AR, and then I would read things I would actually want to read that weren't on the list because I liked to read, but AR almost killed reading for me. Right. Thank you, educational system.
It's kind of funny because like I said earlier, like with English, I loved most of the things that I read, but everything that I listed to you pretty much was the curriculum. Like, Gone with the Wind, what is it, the Iliad or whatever, a lot of Shakespeare, The Outsiders, To Kill a Mockingbird, Catcher in the Rye, stuff like that.
Then later, I think 6th, 7th grade, I started picking up really big books because I read all the Nature's Children books. Right. And the only thing that interested me was the Three Musketeers or White Fang, like these like really dense reading, but it was, there was some sort of adventure going on.
Sure.
So I'm in 7th grade reading the Three Musketeers about D'Artagnan, and like not really comprehending all the finer points because I'm too young, but like understanding enough that this is the good guy, this is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And just enjoying sword fights.
It's like reading The Princess Bride. Like, there's the man with 6 fingers. Okay, I see what's going on. It's inconceivable. I mean, maybe obviously.
Anybody want a peanut?
I want a peanut. Like the solution is obviously to upgrade the curriculum, but I guess I could understand why people would not want to. I mean, hell, nowadays half the titles that we listed are on the canceled list and not being taught to kids anymore, which is sad to me. But whatever. I don't think Animal Farm is allowed to be in a curriculum anymore, which is really kind of annoying because that book is literally about racism and class struggle. That should be like required reading because it literally teaches you that both of those things are bad. Like, come on, but we don't need to get super deep into the PC bullshit. But anyway, yeah, I'm sure we'll get there. We'll have that for the last episode because I'm sure we'll get canceled immediately afterwards. But obviously the solution would be more interesting books. But then, I mean, that's the problem. What's interesting to one kid is not interesting to somebody else, right? Like, you and I love fantasy, Wheel of Time and shit. Like, hell yeah. But then somebody else may be like, what the fuck? And on the other hand, you can't take someone, take one author and, like, read one book and be like, yeah, it's fantastic. Teach that one to kids. Like, for example, Stephen King. Because there's a huge slew of books, and they're all very different. Like, it has a teenage orgy in it.
Fun.
Yeah, sure, but my point is teenagers. Orgy. Like, I say orgy, but it's one chick and a bunch of dudes. They run a train on her in order to become adults, and it's not great. We can move on. My point is, some things that King wrote. Yeah, right?
These are the controversial topics that will definitely get this podcast canceled.
Somebody's going to have to send me notes. Don't mention this. Don't mention that. Stephen King is off limits. But my point, one of my favorite books ever is actually The Long Walk by Stephen King. He wrote it under his Richard Bachman pseudonym. It was one of the first books that he ever wrote. Not his first to get published. That was Carrie. We all know that. But it was one of the first ones that he ever wrote, but he didn't think it was good enough. So once he started putting out books later on, he put out the Bachman books, and the first one was The Long Walk. And it's fucking awesome. Like, I would have loved that as a kid in high school. I would have fucking done my homework. Because that book is actually so good. It's not even that long. But I'm sure there's other people that would be like, no. This is stupid. It's like, okay.
So that's why I think AR is a good idea. Like, you have a required reading to do. But in the beginning, like whenever they first launched this program, there was just not enough variety.
Yeah. Like, if I was given an option of like 30 books, that would be dope. If I'm given an option of 5, that's the illusion of an option. There's not actually an option.
No, there were quite a few. I'd say hundreds, but
that's good.
There were a lot of nonfiction. Like I said, like the Nature's Children's books. There were, I don't know. I read, I think all of them. I think there were like 40 of them.
Oh wow.
So at one point I knew all about giraffes and penguins and ostriches and mules and goats. Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Book by book by book.
Wow. Speaking of, like, growing up, getting older, obviously, as individuals, our tastes change, but there's still going to be stuff that we loved as a child and we'll still love now. I know one of them we talked about off stream the other day, so I'm going to bring it up.
Where you're going. Yeah.
The Goofy movie holds up.
Are we going to sing?
I'm just saying.
Are we going to sing the Powerline concert song, Eye to Eye?
I'm down. No, I don't think anybody wants me to sing, but no, but look, anybody watching this after this podcast, go watch a Goofy movie on Disney Plus. It's fucking fantastic. It still holds up. It is just as good as you remember, maybe better. Like, with added context of, like, living your life for the, like, little while. I found that I related to Goofy a little bit more.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like, I don't
And
even have a kid or nothing, but I was just like, dude, Max is a shit.
Right.
What?
I was also really disappointed in Max. Like,
Right?
he really just got everything he wanted with no consequence.
Mm-hmm. Like when he changed the map, and then like he's having that moral struggle, and Goofy's like, "Where are we going?" He's like, "Take a left," and then they end up going to Hollywood, and it's like,
left.
He got what he wanted anyways, and he still defaced like this family heirloom, and it's like, and Goofy knew, and it's like, I definitely related with the Goofy more. I can't believe we're actually talking about this in like a little bit more in depth, but is there any movies aside from a Goofy movie, because we both fucking love that you've rewatched since, like, not something that you rewatch on occasion ever since you were a kid? Like when I was in high school, for the
first time since.
Exactly. Like when I was in high school is when Lord of the Rings first started coming out, I think, around that time. And I rewatched Lord of the Rings every Christmas. The extended, full-on, like, 11 hours. In one day, I'll sit down and I'll marathon all three. And I do it every single year. I don't know why. It's not because it's a Christmas movie. Die Hard is. I will fight to the death on that. But Lord of the Rings isn't. But I just do it. I love fantasy and, you know, whatever. But I'm saying a movie that you haven't watched since you were a kid, that you've then rewatched and either found that it either holds up better, like a Goofy movie, or doesn't hold up at all and is shit.
To me, Nightbreed does, but only because it was such a... It impacted me as a kid. I loved it as a kid. And so it's kind of a nostalgic kind of enjoyment. The Matrix, however, I enjoyed the second and third one so much more than I did whenever they first came out. And I hadn't watched them. It was about a 10-year gap between, maybe a little longer, between when they released and whenever I watched it again. And I appreciate the second and third a lot more. The first one is still the best.
Right. I definitely agree with that. The first Matrix was fucking phenomenal. The other two were like, eh. I actually haven't watched The Matrix since it came out. I think I watched it 2 or 3 times when it first came out, and I haven't watched it since. So maybe that'll be my homework, and I'll have to watch that. It won't be tonight. I'm watching The Big Short tonight, but yeah. That's interesting. I think for me, it's Mulan, and it holds up way better.
Yeah.
Like, nostalgia is real. But I did watch the Mulan live action.
Mm-hmm.
That's my advice to you. Don't do it.
Yep.
The magic of Disney
impressed.
is musicals, and they've removed all the musicals. Like, there's some that are problematic in these times, like Be a Man, you know, yeah, okay. I can understand why some people would not want to hear that in a children's musical. I get it. But, like, they removed almost every song. And
Mushu.
It's just and it's just like a decent drama flick. If you remove your brain from that part, and it's just like the main character in the story, and it's the same thing, like, but there's no music or anything like that. Yeah, okay, it's better than The Great Wall, but barely. Great Wall was bad. Holy shit.
Oh, it was a big hit overseas, though.
They cast a white guy as, like, it's fine. We don't need to talk about casting. We're gonna get canceled from that too.
All right, mark that down.
Yeah, that's going on the list. We'll revisit that topic at another date, I'm sure. But anyway,
no doubt.
Which sucks though, because I was really looking forward to Mulan's live action. Because I'm gonna go against the grain here. I fucking love the Beauty and the Beast live action. I mean, Josh Gad is insane in it. Hermione, I know she has a real name. I don't fucking care. Hermione is good in it. She's very clearly not a singer. And you can tell. There's some weird edits because they tried to do that whole thing where, like, they sing live on the recording, but then they also sang in the studio. Because you know how some will just lip sync and then they'll dub it in the studio and make it sound good. They did both, where they recorded in the studio and then they went and did the scenes live and all that stuff, but the actors actually had to sing. And you can tell at a couple of points where they edit it on certain songs. You'll hear her singing, and then all of a sudden it'll be just different. You're like, whoa, that was a weird little... It's very subtle and only in like 2 or 3 spots, but it's like, when I first heard it, I was like...
So, overall, which is better, the original or the...
Like Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, live.
The cartoon is better. It is the original. Nostalgia factor is real on that one. But I really did enjoy the live action. I thought it was really, really good. And Josh Gad, I will watch that man in anything. Sorry, for the younger groups, Olaf from Frozen. But yeah, he plays an amazing, what's his name? Gaston's little toady that follows him around and everything. So good. So good.
You know what? You've convinced me. I'll put that on the list to watch the live action.
You probably won't regret it. Probably. Oh man. Any other movies come to mind that... Oh, actually, I just thought of one. Okay, it's not a movie, it's a TV series. But there's 2. Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark are both absolutely dog shit. Like,
okay,
holy fuck. See, bad.
I thought
but as a kid,
the first time
I was
around.
like, this is amazing. Yeah.
I was disappointed the first time around.
Really?
I haven't even given it a second shot.
Oh, okay. I tried to rewatch them a little while ago, and I was like, oh no. Oh no.
I liked Tales from the Crypt.
Okay.
I think that would be absolute dog shit now, but...
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my jam. Like, and Beavis and Butthead. I think Beavis and Butthead should take a redo. It's been long enough that... And I loved it whenever I was too young to be watching it.
Same. It's like, we're gonna go to Vegas and get some sluts.
From my bunghole.
Call me Cornholio.
Shut up, Beavis.
Yeah, it's good. I did actually love that shit too. Like, I should not have been watching it at the age that I was watching, but it was good.
No.
I mean, it always came on like right after music videos on MTV. Back when MTV actually played music.
Whenever music TV had music on the TV.
Yep. It's like part of their name now. It's all just reality shows and bad ones.
And then part of Beavis and Butthead was they would watch an MTV video during the show.
Yep.
That was awesome. And how did Mike Judge pull that off? Like, aren't there some rights there you gotta...
I mean, if you're a band, you're free advertising at that point, right? Because there might be people that won't watch your video, but then they'll watch Beavis and Butthead because it's hilarious, and then they'll discover your music. So,
and then they'll go buy your album and all your merch.
Yeah, because people buy merch.
I mean, that's how bands stay afloat now.
Now, yes. Like, the only time I've ever bought a merch from a band is when I went to see them in concert. Now, I know they don't get shit from the ticket sales. They make their money off merch. So that's why. But also, I will generally only go see a band if I actually really, really like them.
That's why I've seen Red Hot Chili Peppers twice.
That's why I've never seen Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh.
Well, you and I have a very different taste in music.
Music, yes.
Yeah.
For all the things that we agree on in other media, we do not agree much on music.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. Like, there's some overlap. Like, you know, the more tame stuff that I listen to is like Ghost, and that's probably like the harder stuff that you'll listen to.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool. It's fine. But I wanted to ask you something. And I've kind of been holding off for like months because I figured we'd be doing the podcast at some point. Literally.
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot. Awesome.
Yeah. So, we both quit New World very quickly after starting to play it. Why? Why did you quit?
A few reasons, but the main reason was it came out at a bad time. I'd kind of lost my interest in video games in general, and it was fucking grindy. Like, I don't do the grind. RuneScape is grind the video game, and it just reminded me of RuneScape so much. That was the primary reason. What about you?
A little bit of the grind. I also kind of just lost interest in a lot of games at the time. There's just nothing really good coming out. And I was looking for a WoW replacement, you know, because, like, WoW was
social
great.
aspect.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's a social aspect and also, like, the aspect of, like, what WoW does for me as a game is there's just so much stuff that you can do, right? Like, I haven't been subbed since the allegations came out, and I'm not going to. Not stick strictly because of that. There's still aspects of the game that I miss, but the way that I like to put it is if you look at WoW, for example, let's say you're in a raiding guild or a PvP guild, right? You got your main character, whatever. You know, you go with your friends, you know, 10, 20, whatever, and you go and do your stuff. You might be once a week, it might be twice a week. That doesn't mean that you're not playing the game outside of those times or that you're only playing during those times. It's not. But outside of raid or PvP, you can go do either raid or PvP, whichever one you didn't do. So from my perspective, I'm primarily a raider. Outside of raid, I'd be like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go do some PvP.
Dungeons.
Me, maybe not. But yeah, I would do Mythic Plus. I love Mythic Plus. But then, like, also do dailies.
Rep
you know?
challenge modes.
Right? But, like, 4 world quests and you get an emissary cache, which might have, like, 1,000 gold in it. Sure, it's not a lot, but you do that every day and it kind of adds up.
Adds up.
Yeah.
Especially on multiple characters.
Exactly. And it only takes 10 minutes. You know, fly around, kill one guy, fly around, kill one guy, fly around, kill one guy, fly around, kill one guy. Cool. 1,000 gold. Took me 10 minutes. Cool. But then if you get bored of that, like, you can make another character and level up and, you know, and start gearing a new character, you know. There was that aspect that I loved. So I was looking for a replacement for that. So I played New World. I got in on the beta for like 2 days before the beta got closed, and then it went live. Initially, really fun. Like, I actually loved the combat style for melee. Absolutely hate it for ranged, for casters, for healers. Just fuck no.
I actually kind of had fun with the double range, the bow and the gun.
Yeah?
Because with the gun, I felt like a sniper, and then they'd close, and the bow had some, like, backflippy, trippy stuff.
Okay. Maybe I just didn't play it enough, but I just felt like, oh god, this is... It wasn't for me, but maybe I didn't play it enough. But, just like you said, by the time you get to, like, level 10, you get to your main city and you can pick a faction, you've experienced all of the game. Because...
Except for group content.
Except for group content, yeah, and PvP. But, like, by that point, the next 50 levels is everything you just did, but again. But just wait. Instead of going and clearing out that village of undead, now you've got to clear out that village of undead. And they've got a different name. Shit.
See, we need... For this conversation, we need Aru on. Because he's still playing.
He's taking a break right now.
Religious. Oh, really?
Yeah. He's playing Terraria or something. But yeah, he wants to not burn out. But I know he plays religiously, and that's what's fucking weird. Because he's like riding nuts on that game. And I'm like, how, dude? I got to level 28, and I was like, I just can't. I fucking can't. Part of it, the other part of the aspect of why I quit the game so quickly was because this server, their launch was absolutely terrible. And it's like, I guess a right in video games now, like, you gotta have a terrible launch. I don't know, but their launch was absolutely terrible. I sat in queue for 5 hours the first night, played for an hour and a half, went to bed.
The queues, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that was the first week. After that, the queue disappeared, or at least they became 30-minute queue, whatever. That's fine. And that's when I started having fun with the game. You know, playing with you and, you know, a couple others. Yeah, it was good. Like, even though I was like 10 levels above you guys, and we just... just follow you guys around and just chat to you while we're doing shit. That was fun. But like when you guys weren't on, it was like, cool, I'm gonna go clear out that village of undead for the 17th time today.
Yay.
So, yeah, it was the grind. The other thing was, I realized they didn't have the class options that I was really hoping for. There was no dual wield, still isn't, which, how do you have like a fantasy MMORPG without having like literally a rogue archetype?
I hadn't considered. See,
you got 4 two-handed weapon options, but not a single dual wield like dagger stabby person. Like I figured the hatchets would be that. Nope. Hatchets are a strength weapon. Anyway, that kind of irritated me. At the time, Void Gauntlet wasn't in there, so there was really no options for like damage over time classes, like, you know, for example, Shadow Priest or Conjurer if you're playing Final Fantasy, whatever. So like, you literally have 2 kind of staples of the like MMO kind of character types that are in every single MMO, and they're just not in there. Now they've got plans to put in like a rogue. That's cool, I guess.
I think, but you know, this game was delayed and delayed and delayed, and so eventually they just put it out in this. You can call it a finished state. I mean, the launch was shit, but you still have classes. You still have the holy trinity of healer, tank, DPS. Still have content.
Yeah.
And they just fill in the gaps later.
But it's so buggy. Like talking to Nick Aru about, like, he was PvPing and he's like, oh yeah dude, like half the server got banned today or whatever, and I'm like, really? How? And he's like, oh, they were just abusing the life gauntlet or life staff or whatever. I'm like, really? What were they doing? Like, oh, you know that like literally the first heal that you get, the little healing circle that you put down on the ground, if you crouch and then stand up, it double ticks. So you just crouch and stand up repeatedly in like 3 seconds and you're full health. Yeah. You literally just spam crouch and stand up and you fill your health goes full immediately, as opposed to ticking over like 45 seconds or whatever. And people were like literally like bombing people and then like bunny hopping on or you know, on the spot, and then they're
doing squats.
Yeah. And it's like, okay. And then there's the gold duping and there's all this crap. Like they are having bugs after bugs after bugs after bugs, and it's just like, fuck, man. And it's a shame because like the concept is really fucking cool. You know, this strange island, blah blah blah. You got 3 factions, which is kind of unique outside of like PlanetSide. I haven't seen 3 factions in an MMO in a long time. Usually it's 2, if there is even factions.
ESO.
I actually didn't play ESO. Heard it was bad. Didn't try it. Also because it costs money. And at the time I was broke.
It's not great if you want a social, like, group experience where you go and do things as a group. Which New World is not great for that either. New World is actively bad for that. So is Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is actively bad for that as well. In terms of leveling. I don't know how people design their games. Clearly I'm not a game designer, so this is just my armchair opinion. But if you go through and your main way of progressing to the end game, you have to leave your group to go through story missions time and time and time and time and time again in a massively multiplayer online RPG. It's not a great idea.
Star Wars comes to mind.
I didn't play Star Wars.
It was fantastic.
But it also did that?
Yeah. The main story quests, occasionally you'd have to go to an instanced area. I mean, you could bring your party with you. You could bring your friends with you. But, yeah, there was some solo-only stuff.
Final Fantasy won't let you. Like, if you want to start some of this instant stuff, you have to leave your party. You have to leave your party to even do it. They won't, like, can't stay in the party and do it. It'll just remove you. Nope, you have to leave your party.
Yeah, I resubbed to Final Fantasy like a little over 2 months ago. Once again, I have yet to make it past a 30-day sub before it got canceled. Because it's just... I mean, this time I got the Bard to like 48 or something like that, 47 before switching to Conjure. Because I
did make it.
I wanted to try the new healer.
I did make it to like 70 or nearly 70.
Right.
Dancer. I just love playing Dancer.
Yeah.
It flows so well. I always want to be a good player. I want to be competent at a game, and so the Dancer is known as like the easiest class to play, which frustrates me because that's the same part of the same reason I could not stand to play Beastmaster and WoW.
Right.
But the Dancer's fun. It flows. That's what really got me to enjoy is just how well it flows from one thing to another. It's just like, this makes sense. Even if, like, Survival Hunter, I wanted to play Survival Hunter. I wanted to love it. And it's spinning place just like Kitty Druid was. And, like, you gotta watch your timers. You gotta do this, then, and this.
Rogue.
But Survival Hunter actively worked against itself, and I hated that. Like, you have to put all these mongoose bites into this window, but at the same time you gotta spin a GCD to keep up your poison. Like, why? why do I have to like lose optimization on one thing to optimize another that just works? That design works against itself. Anyway, this is not something that I meant to get into.
Right.
New World, yeah, we don't play it anymore.
Yeah. And the other aspect that I really didn't like is I got to like level 28, so I was able to start doing actual group content. I mean, you could do PvP content and all that stuff, and like earlier on. But the thing that I didn't like was dungeon content. I did the first dungeon, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. And then I found out that once you're max level, you literally got to like grind for... I don't know the terminology because, again, I quit at level like 28, 29, somewhere around that. But essentially the premise is you have to grind a bunch of materials and a bunch of effort and work and stuff, and then you can make a key to enter one more instance of the dungeon. There's a cap on how many you can make in a week, and only one person in the group needs to have it to enter, but the point is like... there's a finite amount of keys that you can do in a week, essentially. And it's like, oh man, that is such a piss off. Like, you can't just group up with a bunch of friends and just chain run dungeons and just have a good time. Like, once we all do our keys for the week, like, okay, we've done 5 dungeons, cool, well, see you guys next week. It's like, dude, you're literally gating content that doesn't need to be gated because it's not even like the pinnacle of PvE content in this game. I mean, well, for New World it was, because there is no raids yet. And... it's like, ugh. Yeah, it's just one of those things that that shit like really irritates me when you've got content that you gate behind stuff if it's not important. Like, I can understand gating in like World of Warcraft, for example, like mythic raids. You know, if you have to... getting away from current WoW, let's go back into the nostalgia van. Let's hop back in the Wayback Machine, and we go back to Burning Crusade or Wrath. Burning Crusade's probably a better example, but Wrath, it still existed then. But Burning Crusade, for example, you would have to... actually, I guess that's now current too. Whatever. Point is, way back in the day, you would have to get attuned to, like, Serpent Shrine Cavern. Well, how do you do that? You gotta... there's a... literally like a flow chart that you can look up, and it's literally like 30 different things that you got to do, and then you're allowed to do this one thing, and then if you do this one thing you can enter Serpent Shrine Cavern. Well, Serpent Shrine Cavern's an endgame raid, like it's supposed to be something that you are looking forward to. That's fine to gate that because it's like the pinnacle. It's the end of the end game, at least until Black Temple came out. But you don't gate fucking Shattered Halls. That's just a dungeon.
I don't know. Shattered Halls, the difficulty gated itself for a lot of people.
It did, and for a very long time. But there's a difference between difficulty and just gating. Like,
right. Not
putting a wall
you from
up and saying you
place.
can't enter is like, it's fine if there is a reason for it.
So, with all this, speaking of MMOs of the past that neither of us are, I have no plans to play any of them ever again. Ashes of Creation.
Oh.
I introduced you to this. Did you buy in?
I have not bought in yet. I am planning on buying in.
Me too.
I do want to probably eventually do the whole fucking the super
Alpha.
expensive. Yeah. I haven't bought in yet because I just want to make sure. Like, I kind of told myself, it's not like a New Year's resolution, but like, you know, I just told myself, hey, you're gonna fucking do this year, to be a little bit better about my money and not spend it so frivolously. So I am waiting until my bank account hits a certain number, and then I'm gonna allow myself to start chipping away at the Ashes of Creation paywall. I'm joking about it being a paywall, but seriously, it's early access, and if you want to get in, you can pay. But yeah, the game looks fucking phenomenal, especially on the Unreal Engine. The snow.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Yes, please.
Yeah, I do think that was a great idea for them to move to Unreal. The new Unreal Engine was a 5. They went from 4 to 5.
Yeah.
Just from yes, it sets them back in terms of they have to port all of their work over, but the engine is so much easier to work on, and multiple people can work on the same facets or different facets, instead of, well, we can only work on this one person can work on this one area of the game. Now a whole team can work on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it should, in the long run, speed up the process and make it go smoother.
The other things that I liked about it, you know, the mounts or whatever. I'm not a huge cosmetic, you know, person. I don't care about mounts. I don't care about like armor and stuff. I think Dark Age of Camelot kind of ruined that for me, because you could dye every little piece of your armor, so you could like literally turn yourself into like however you wanted to look. It was fucking awesome, and no game has done it since. So like even transmogging or whatever, I'm just like, it's not Dark Age of Camelot level good, so I don't care. Also, maybe I just grew up and don't care about that shit, but mounts doesn't really interest me. So when they started showing off the mounts, I just kind of like mentally checked out and just watched it and be like, all right, yeah, well, okay, cool. But some of them look pretty cool. And if I'm saying that, you know, people that love mounts are going to be like, but the one aspect that I really actually did like, there's a couple. So instead of being like, you know, one of the big MMOs like WoW or Final Fantasy or whatever, where you've got like an entrance or whatever, and you got this rock shelf down and there's like a sliver of space you can walk, you know, or whatever, instead of just putting up a, you know, a wall that you just can't pass, it's impassable terrain, and just been like, oh, well, this is like part of the map that you can see through, but you can actually go there.
Invisible, you know? Wall.
Exactly. Or the alternative, being able to just walk through that and literally clip through that part of the rock that's hanging down because your character model happens to be taller, which happens a lot more often than not. With Ashes, like, literally, you could go there, but then, like, you gotta crouch and then, like, waddle forward underneath that, and I'm like, I mean, for an MMO, for a single-player game, that makes sense. A game like Skyrim or something, like, yeah, you gotta make sure that works. You gotta make sure that works in Fallout and single-player games, right? In MMO, that stuff often gets overlooked. Why? Because why would you spend 10 hours fixing that to make that work when you've got these systems over here that need work? And I love that just in their little demo, they put the attention to detail in that was like, that would normally get overlooked by most gaming companies.
Oh, yeah.
Or they'd do it, they'd be like, oh, we're going to fix this later. But like, they'd show it in the demo and be like, yeah, we'll fix this. Or they'd cut that from the demo and you could tell. Like, they didn't. They literally just did the thing live, and they're just like, oh, yeah, by the way, if you get to this, crouch, and you can waddle underneath. And it's like, cool. They didn't show us any combat, which sucks, but, well, they did a little bit. He got attacked by like 2 monsters, but for the most part.
And there is, they did have an Alpha 1 already.
Yeah.
They're on a new engine now, but still, the basic concepts are the same.
Yeah. And the combat looks just like your typical, Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft style combat, which, if you're playing an MMORPG, I think is probably the best way to go.
It's more, not WildStar. It's moved away from WoW and Final Fantasy. Like, there's some action to it now, which I don't like. I prefer the WoW style of combat.
I actually really like WoW style combat. I haven't found anything I like better than it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why we played it so long.
Exactly.
Or part of the reason.
Yeah. And who knows, if their new overlords turn the ship around, I might resub if the next expansion doesn't look dog shit. We'll see. But, Ashes, back to what you were saying.
So, oh goodness, I've lost it.
It's more actiony.
Yes. But I got distracted because my internet started going sideways, so I had to close everything else besides the call.
It happens.
Rewind a bit. We were talking about
the combat, a little bit more action, stepping away from the WoW combat style, which you prefer.
Oh, you were talking about the next expansion, the new Overlords. That's what I wanted to comment on.
Oh, okay.
Microsoft won't be in charge by the time the new expansion rolls out.
Uh-oh.
It's still the Bobby Kotick game until June of next year.
Well, and yeah, some people might be like, well, they might put the expansion out after Kotick. It's like, doesn't matter. He's still involved. Like, they're not going to make the expansion in 3 months.
They're working on it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. They're working on it now.
Yeah, so...
Even if I got delayed till, after June of next year, which won't happen.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to put it out an expansion before June of next year for the money.
Yeah.
Because Activision's still in charge.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's unfortunate. Let me ask you first, how do you feel about Microsoft buying Blizzard? Both on a micro scale and a macro scale.
I don't think it will matter, honestly. I think Activision has dug the WoW grave. However, in terms of other games, I don't think it'll matter for WoW.
Mm-hmm.
It does give me hope for a new Warcraft RTS, potentially, and it gives me hope for a new Blizzard MMO, because WoW used to be great, and I don't think there's any saving it. I think maybe a new IP or using one of their other IPs to build an MMO on would be the play. Like that. That's about the only
MMO.
StarCraft MMO.
StarCraft MMO.
Oh, I'd love a StarCraft.
Dude, literally character creation, you have to pick your race, and like now you're stuck being a Terran or a Zerg or a Protoss.
Hydralisk.
Dude, I've been fanboying about the possibility of that, which it's never been stated as a possibility, by the way. But when World of Warcraft was first announced, I was playing Diablo 2, I started seeing the banners on Battle.net across the top, World of Warcraft Alpha, blah, 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 signed up, eventually got into the Friends and Family beta, all that stuff, and I'm like, alright, cool, whatever. But the entire time I was thinking like, dude, eventually they're going to have to make World of StarCraft, and that's going to be my jam. I'm playing Zerg for life, and, I'm rolling a Hydralisk, and yeah, exactly. Hydralisk or Mutalisk, if they let me fly, I'll do it. Like, or Lurker. If I can just sit there and just be like, pew, pew, I'm down. Hell yeah. Can you imagine? That would be dope. No, I mean, so on a micro scale, I'm happy that Microsoft bought Blizzard, because I think, and I have no proof to back this up, but this is just my, armchair quarterbacking. I think Microsoft is going to be more hands-on than Activision was, but in the right ways. Activision was hands-on in the sense of, like, you know, release schedules, and like that obviously showed. Again, I have no proof of this, except for I've been playing the game for a long time, and you can tell when a game comes out and it's like, they needed to work on this for 3 more months, and the old Blizzard would have. Once Activision bought it, it slowly started seeping into like, well, we got to get our quarterly injection of money. Yeah. So that part was kind of obvious, and it's like, damn, that sucks. And I'm hoping Microsoft will be more allowing of that. So far, you're fine, by the way. Unless I'm roboting for you. But for the sake of the stream.
It's very sad.
Yeah. That's the micro scale. On the macro scale, it does make me worry a little bit that one of the big three, being Microsoft, was able to just snatch up one of the larger parent companies. Like, obviously, Blizzard was purchased, but it wasn't just Blizzard. It was Activision Blizzard, which means they got the Call of Duty franchises, they got all that shit. Like, the big three are huge: Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. And the fact that Microsoft can literally just go out and buy, you know, one of the largest IPs in Call of Duty, as well as one of the largest IPs in Warcraft and Starcraft and Diablo, and all just one shot, and be like, yeah, okay, we're gonna take that. You know, and then I just read the news, not very well apparently, but the other day, like, Sony just bought a big company like a couple days ago. It's like, okay, so now, like, literally the big three are buying up all the other companies. It's like, in that sense, macro scale, it's worrying a little bit. I wonder how games are going to suffer, if they will. And only time's going to tell on that, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I am hopeful that, like, it seems like Microsoft is going about things the right way with the companies that they're buying up, like ZeniMax, and they've been doing this for a while, but we haven't seen anything put out yet. But they've been buying up the right companies, so I don't know if it's because of the IPs or why these specific companies. Like, you know, with ZeniMax and Bethesda, they got the Doom franchise, and the Fallout franchise, and the Elder Scrolls franchise. So I don't know if it's for that reason, because they got these platform sellers essentially, and you know, Bungie kind of was almost like a cautionary tale, but Bungie, it seems, has just been jumping ship. Like,
yeah,
they were with Microsoft, and then they were with Activision, and now they're with Sony.
Yeah,
I think that last 2 years, then they'll jump ship again.
Maybe. I think, yeah, that's always kind of hard to nail down, is like, are they jumping around because something's wrong, or are they jumping around because whatever? Like, which is unfortunate, because, like, Bungie gave us fucking Halo. No, not Halo. Was it Halo? It was Halo, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Halo.
Halo.
Literally.
And then Destiny.
Halo. Who gives a shit about Destiny? I kid. Put the pitchforks down. By the time I was interested in Destiny, Destiny 2 was already out, and I tried it, played it for like a month, and I got bored. It is what it is. It's gonna take a lot for, like, an MMO to get me, I think. Like,
yeah, that article that I shared with you, that's about how I feel like it.
Yeah.
Like, sure, the game itself, yes, it was. So there was always something, or well, a lot of times there was something to do that I wanted to do. But even more than that, it was something for the community of people that I enjoy spending time with. And all of us had something to do. A lot of the stuff we had to do together.
Yeah.
And now we don't.
Yeah. Which sucks. I mean, you just couldn't lose that aspect. But you mentioned Ashes earlier. There's another MMO that I'm kind of excited for. It's coming out in 9 days. Lost Ark. Now, MMO action RPG. I know when I heard about it, I was like, what? That seems weird. Like, how do you have, like, Path of Exile or, like, Diablo, but MMO? That's just, I don't know. As I watch more and more videos, dude, it looks so good. Like, I love PoE, right? New League's coming out this Friday. I'm fucking so excited. Unfortunately, like every fucking League launch, for some reason, I have to help my dad on his farm. I can't get one League launch where I can literally just no life it on PoE from Friday to Monday, which sucks. So, you know, I gotta be gone for like 5 hours in the middle of like the best time to be playing. Which, fucking, ugh. Maybe I'll text him and see if he can pick somebody else to work for him. But, anyway, if you can play an ARPG in an MMO setting, I think that would be dope. And Lost Ark looks really fucking cool. I've heard a lot of things about it being pay to win, but it's not actually the case in most cases, so we'll see. I am being informed from Drew here. His internet is starting to shit it even more. He was, yeah, right? He was barely able to catch, like, most of that last little bit there. So, yeah, we're just gonna wrap this up pretty quick. I know it's an abrupt ending, but, you know, whatever. Fight me. I don't know. Anything you wanted to get out before?
You're just gonna have to get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. This is how it works. Like, we got in really fucking quick. We're gonna get out really fucking quick.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna feel awkward about it.
Exactly. Anything that you wanted to bring up or anything? Yeah.
Well, I'm very frustrated at this connection issue that I'm having that there's just no solving at this time. Mm-hmm. I have roommates, and I imagine what's happening is there are multiple people downloading things. And
that's probably
it seems a little so it'll clear up for a moment, and I'll catch a few words, and they'll be like robot, straight robot. But I am clear now. I can't tell because you're not really talking anymore. But
I just got my first lag spike from you just now. But up to this point, like, you've been crystal clear. The video and everything's been totally good. A little hitch on some words here or there as it, like, hangs for a second. But really, I couldn't tell that you were lagging until it literally just froze for, like, a full second.
So for what you just said right now came through as a little bit lag, that's what came through for me.
Okay. Well, you can check the VOD later to see what I actually said.
Oh, yeah, I believe you.
It was, yeah.
I'm just informing you, like, this is more, it's better whenever we can understand, we can misunderstand each other.
Well, otherwise, we're going to have a mutual misunderstanding, and that's just not good.
Right.
All right, well, without any further ado, this has been fun. We'll be back, and we'll do it again another time shortly. We're gonna figure it out. We might keep doing Wednesdays. We might switch to a different day. We're gonna figure that out. But yeah, it'll be fun. So if you're watching this and you want to actually get our opinions on literally anything, we'll fucking post it in the comments or message one of us. You know, you can get our details from fucking anywhere. It's all over the place. You know, if it's something that is interesting, maybe we'll end up talking about it for like an hour or for a minute and then move on if it's not. Like, for example, who would win in a fight, a dragon or a Hulk? Obviously the Hulk. You can't kill him. Like,
see, I can't really refute that because I can barely hear 3 words out of 5.
Just say the Hulk wins.
It depends on the dragon. Okay. I think Randall Thor would annihilate the Hulk.
Obviously. That's one power. He'll just use Balefire. No, he never existed. But that's splitting hairs on the dragon, alright? She said a dragon, not the dragon. And there was no Reborn after it.
And I mean, Thanos beat the Hulk without even using a spoiler.
Oh,
But,
the movie's been out forever. You can do it.
Just
Fuck it. If they haven't seen it by now.
Just fisticuffs beat the Hulk.
Yeah. He was the first one to do that, wasn't he? In the MCU.
Veronica. Veronica beat the Hulk. The Hulkbuster armor. Iron Man.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just because, like, you know.
Plot,
yeah. Well, and I keep wanting to call him RDJ. The character he played...
Iron Man.
No, the actual man's name. I'm blanking on it.
Oh, Tony Stark.
Tony Stark is a fucking genius, and so he was able to figure it out, but I don't know. In any case, you know what? Maybe we'll revisit this topic on another date. I still maintain that it's the Hulk would win against a traditional dragon. If you want to start talking about the Dragon Reborn, I'll give you that. Randall Thor wins everything because, let's face it, not even the Dark One could beat him, so, you know. Anyway, this was fun. Follow the stream, follow the YouTube, subscribe, Twitch Prime, words and stuff. We're out. Later.